Welcome back on the show. We continue on here. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube as we bring in our next guest. And that's going to be Jeremy Holaday. He is the Assistant Executive Director for KSHSAA and overseeing a baseball administrator for the state of Kansas. Jeremy, appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Hey, it's a pleasure to join you. I've been enjoying what you've been doing, and glad I can have the opportunity.
All right, so overseeing baseball, like how long have you been with KSHSAA now?
So this is my 14th school year with the Kansas State High School Activity Association. Currently I oversee baseball, softball, and golf, and esports, which started up new this year, and oversee a few of our marketing initiatives with our partner, and then media relations. As you, Cole, and I have talked quite a bit on that, and I'll be transitioning to taking over football starting next school year. So a lot going on at the Activity Association, and it's a good time.
That is busy. All right. So, like for baseball, like what have you seen over the years? We'll talk about some of the changes for the state format here in just a bit, but like how have you seen it evolve over the years that you've been with KSHSAA?
Well, the most obvious one is the pitch count rule. And I think it was in about 2015 or 16 that became a heavy conversation about how does pitch counts affect the development of young athletes and the biometrics with pitching a baseball. It became a national conversation, really heavy. And then eventually the NFHS got with Dr. Andrews and USA Baseball and said it's time that state associations stop looking at just innings pitched and actual pitches thrown, competitive pitches thrown. So if you talk about from my time in the 14 years I've been here, that when you talk about baseball, that's the absolute number one that comes to mind. And obviously we've been doing recording pitch counts and following a pitch count rule for almost 10 years now. So um, our schools have done a good job adjusting. It's still an adjustment period, but they've done a good job to recognize the reason why we have the pitch count rule. Um, if I had a close number two is just the evolution of club baseball outside of school. Um, I think in some cases you could make a case it's positive, but in other cases it could be a detriment, especially to the pitch count because they may not necessarily follow some of the same pitch count things. More
Sure.
than anything, we just want to make sure kids have rest. You can't be throwing the ball. You can't be having competitive pitches 10 months out of the year. It's just not smart.
Well, I remember when that first started and everyone was just kind of like, trying to figure it out. And like, I mean, everyone had like a sheet in their dugout, but now I feel like it's kind of second nature. Everyone knows those limits and where they're at. And I don't know, it's built more depth. I know some of the smaller classes, it's more of a struggle, but like, it's been kind of fun just seeing, just different pitchers get out there.
Yeah, when we brought a group of, I think we had over 300 years of experience and about 49 plus state championships in one room of coaches that have been doing this for a long time when we were developing this rule. And, every single one said, yeah, it's going to take some adjustment, depending on the size of school you are or just the nature of what your baseball program's like. We're going to see some growing pains. And I think I told ADs that when we started and umpires said, listen, we're going to have some kids out there on the mound that have never been on the mound before, but that's what it's going to take. And you kind of have to approach um, the the attitude of everyone is going to be a pitcher until they prove to us they just have no ability to be a pitcher. And sometimes that does happen. But I think it's been good to realize that it is going to be a development stage of getting to the situation where we have enough arms to throw. And we have some great talent in the state, just incredible talent. If you go to any sort of game, especially in the Johnson County area, sometimes some nights if you got the matchup right, you're going to have more major league scouts there than you would at the Royals game the next day. So
Wow.
it's interesting.
All right, so the state baseball, state softball format, it gets its change this year and kind of aligning with the rest of your sports. You saw the big change with basketball. Like for you, was it kind of easy to adopt it into baseball and softball after what you guys have seen in other sports?
Well, it would, yeah. It eventually, yes, it was. Eventually, we talked about we want to consolidate our sites, and ironically, it was I stepped up a few years ago and said I think softball is the right sport to do this in. So we began a plan to do that for softball, and we just need to find the right facility. And one thing led to another, and conversations that take place eventually. basketball gets going first from that standpoint of the current format we just went under, and so we're going to follow the same lead the basketball did with the quarterfinal sites being played at neutral sites, and then at the hopefully as close to the higher seed as possible. There's far less teams that play baseball and softball than basketball. About every member school plays basketball, boys and girls, and we have about 250 baseball playing schools and a few less softball schools. So a number of sites are not we're not at 7 sites. Instead, we're at 4 and 3 sites and per sport. So we'll have full games at each one of those sites, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that experience goes.
Well, I know anybody can go to your website, KSHSAA.org, and kind of check out some of the details of that. But for those just listening and watching, okay, so the quarterfinals you kind of set for baseball. Would I see Salina, Emporia, Overland Park for the quarters?
Yeah, so baseball, we'll have Salina at Dean Evans Stadium there will be a host. Emporia, where Emporia State plays, will be a host. And then the Blue Valley School District will host the third site. We're still narrowing down which high school we want to host that at, but they're great facilities. And so we'll work with the school district to find that avenue that puts us to the best operational standpoint for a state tournament, because it is a state tournament. You have qualified for the state tournament quarterfinals, and we want to put on the best show that we can for those kids competing, and being in their backyard. I think will be great for fans to attend.
Well, you talk about 2 great setups for the semifinals and in the championships. At KU and Wichita State. Like, I mean, I don't know. Those are 2 great sites.
Oh, I love it. It's the best D1 sites that we have in the state as far as softball goes, and baseball. We got great facilities there too. So what I like about it is for depending on what class you are that year, you potentially had the opportunity to play in those D1 stadiums, but other classes were not getting the same opportunity. So being able to narrow the field down from the quarterfinals to the semifinals um, allows us to double up teams coming there or classes coming to that site, which gives every class the opportunity, if you make it to the semifinals, to play in those premier venues in our state. And I can't thank those universities enough for recognizing that, and our people that are going to be boots on the ground helping us host those events will put on a great experience for those student athletes.
I haven't looked at the times yet, but are they staggered for say if a fan base has a softball team in one semifinal game and they have a baseball team in another semifinal game, will those times be staggered so they can go support both?
Yeah, we will have exactly that. So if you have, for example, let's just throw out somebody. Bishop Carroll regularly has some baseball and softball teams in there. So if we'll have it so hopefully you can watch your softball team at Wilkins Stadium, and then as soon as you're done, you can walk across the stadium and watch your baseball team at the next game time. But that's our goal, and hopefully it pans out that way.
This would be just thinking out there, but like, was there ever any thought of like, okay, maybe putting all the state championship games at one site? So like, but I mean, you'd have to have like semifinals in one different site and a championship game at a different site, but then you'd have all of them. I don't know. That's probably a big headache.
Well, it's fun to talk about, and we've penciled out different formats to see if that can happen. Um, you definitely are taking up probably 5 straight days to do that. And is it possible? Yes. Do we just need to decide if that's the right thing to do? We do have some facilities in our state that I think would be willing to do it. That's the biggest piece that some people may not realize, is that the Activity Association does not own a single facility. And unless you just want to play at high school facilities from the first round through the state championship, we are at the mercy of other people's schedule and their willingness to host. So um, that's a big piece of that conversation when you talk about wanting to play every championship game at a spot. But ultimately, I would love to get there if it's the right thing to do.
All right, before we let you go, anything else we need to know or frequently asked questions that you've been dealing with?
Okay, yeah, this may be topical and kind of I don't want to say lighthearted, but interesting, I guess. With Major League Baseball going to the challenge system or the strike zone and tapping the head
Yeah.
for a challenge, we are seeing some kids kind of make make light of that at games. My first thought when I heard that was kind of trending was, well, that's good that they're watching baseball because I don't know if young kids sit down and watch baseball anymore. But
Right.
uh, but then the secondly is like, yeah, I kind of thought that could be an issue. We're instructing our umpires that hey, we're not gonna allow them to do that because that's just another form of saying that they disagree with your call. So a nice soft warning will be given to any team that thinks that's the right route to signal to the umpire, and if the warning does not work, then further action will take place. So that's a timely topic for you and
Yeah.
kind of interesting, but also a serious one too. So we want to make sure that we're being good sports.
You tell me there's not like KSHSAA sanctioned like a radar out in center field for every high school stadium?
Yeah, we need to call Major League Baseball and get T-Mobile on our side, get that installed. That'd be great.
I like it. Hey, Jeremy, appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Hey, thank you.
That's Jeremy Holaday, the KSHSAA Assistant Executive Director overseeing baseball. We'll have more of the show right after this.